So why work with angels? Well, you know, it's kind of fascinating to me as I was looking even through songs to play on the break. Almost so many songs have the word angel. You look, angels are ubiquitous. I mean, they either have the best branding, or everybody is in love with angels. I mean, you look through all religions. I could not find a religion that didn't assume the presence of angels. Isn't that kind of fascinating? Muslim, Christian, Judaism, Islam. I mean, philosophies, even people, cultures, even atheists believe in angels. So, so people will say, why work with the angelic? And my cheeky reply is usually, don't work with the angelic. In which they look at me and say, what do you mean don't work with the angelic? You're the angel lady, which sounds like the cat lady, But so what I say is don't work with the angels, work with the great archangels. So what's the difference? Well, if you want spiritual awakening, you would go to a spiritual master who can give you that experience, right? Because we really want the experience for ourselves rather than being talked to about spirit. We want to know it and go in and live it inside of ourselves. And a spiritual master can give us that. Well, the great archangels, and we're going to explain what exactly they are. The great archangels are the spiritual masters, not only of the angelic realm, but of all realms. And I know that's kind of a bold statement. They are collusive with the spirit. They help you connect to the Christ, the traveler, the Holy Spirit. And the Christ, traveler, Holy Spirit helps you connect to the great archangels. It's all the same. It's just another conduit to that. That's why I read you that quote from John Roger. So the great archangels they come from a much higher source than angels or humans. And again, we'll explain that. Not only are they not a substitution for your beloved spiritual presences, they are your beloved spiritual presences. They're all the same. So you see, so many of you, if not everyone in this room, and I haven't had a chance to look at everyone yet, everyone online, but I would venture to say that you've had at least a field trip in the angelic realm, if not many, many lifetimes, if not most of your lifetimes, or why the heck would you be at a class about angels, right? So that being the case, you may connect up into the Christ or the traveler or the Mother Mary through the angelic Christ, traveler, Mother Mary, easier or differently or more tangibly than you might going through the human one. Now, I know what you're saying, like, wait, isn't Christ? Absolutely. But you see, we go up through the human, we go up through the angelic a little differently. Now, not only does the angelic Jesus and the human Jesus play for the same team, they're the same. But we approach them from whatever realm we're in, and then we go straight into Jesus and up. Make sense? Clearly, if you can go direct to God, do not stop at a great archangel, go direct to God. Okay? If you can go directly to Jesus or the Buddha, by all means, and I'm sure you can, right? It's just that unless you're Jesus or Buddha, you probably don't walk around always connected consciously in your awareness to God. So if that's the case, why not take this shortcut? Why not ride up on a Michael or a Gabriel or a Raphael, etc.? Okay? And obviously, once you connect, keep going. They are not offended. They don't go like, hey, wait for me, right? Keep going. Something that we've recently discovered is great archangels are a repository of God's intention. So we all relate to them more as beings because we're beings, right? We're beings. We're containers of God, right? The great archangels can be better understood as intentions of God. Loving, joy, spiritual warriorship, whatever that is. They are a repository of God's experience in that intention, not only of their experience, but of our experience, of God's experience. So again, that's a pretty highfalutin statement. And that's our experience, that you can connect into that intention when you connect into a great archangel. Now, these are very pristine beings. From my experience, there's only about 100 of them compared to about trillions and whatever is bigger than trillions of angels. Okay? So, and since I've made a few pretty bold statements, let me explain that clearly this is my experience. I'm one of those weird people who was like hearing weird languages and, being a really strange kid. So I've been courting angels my whole life. I have never, this is my full confession, have never been able to read one paragraph on angels. Not on a book, not on the net. Not that I don't want to avail myself of what other people have discovered. Trust me, it is not that I don't want, it's that I haven't been able to. It's almost like it burns me. And Michael's, watch me, I'll pick up a book and I put it down. So this is my, and I can only guess that it's so that I will go direct. So will, have I looked on the net? Do I have some awareness of what? Of course, I have some awareness. I've just not gotten my personal awareness from books. Has there been collusion? Did I check out some things with JR? Of course. Did I check out a gazillion things with Michael? Of course. But with that said, and then, also working with many clients over many years and friends and just seeing, hey, I have this weird concept, see what it does for you. And people having these beautiful experiences for themselves has validated some things. What I would say to you, you may experience things very differently than I do. It's just that if you experience it similar, and I'm going to say we because we, again, worked together on this for 20 years. If you may experience it similar enough to us that you can connect in, that it will connect you into that big presence, and then again, keep going, make it your own, trust your own experience. Another way it's helpful to awaken more to these great archangels is, in my experience, we all have an angelic body. Again, if you've even if you just had one lifetime in the angelic, you likely have, and I, just looking at you, heck of a lot more than one lifetime in the angelic. You have an angelic body, just as you have an astral body, an emotional body, a causal body, an etheric body, a soul body, et cetera, et cetera. That is how you experience these other places. So you can go into your angelic body and experience exactly what we're talking about. Give you an example of that. So one of our very first classes, 60 classes ago, Michael was talking, and I reached out and touched him to tell him about some logistic. And all of a sudden, his words sputtered out. He stopped being able to talk and called a break. And we were only like an hour into class, to have a 5-hour class, And so I followed him, aghast, thinking I had broken him. And oops. So we went in there, and it turns out that when I had touched him, it had accessed him into his angelic body. Or another way to say that is into his angelic self. And when he came back into the class and started speaking, before he left the class, he was talking about clearing from his own experience. Now, who doesn't want to hear Michael Hayes talk about clearing? Right? Right? Yeah, all of us, right? When he came back, he started talking about something else. But it was electric. It was like we were all being bathed in divine love, because accessing his angelic self had brought him into this incredible experience. And where before he was speaking from his own experience, when he came back, it was like he was speaking from God's experience. And it was extraordinary. So that's available to you. It's available to you where you can go into the angelic, be here as easily as shifting your eyes right and left, easier. Even right now, right this moment. Yeah, it's intention. Yeah, it's intention, and it is practice. But also realize that you may have practiced this for 8 million lifetimes, and here you come into this and you just get it. Okay? So JR said, if you want God consciousness, assume God consciousness. I experience, and I'll certainly let Michael speak for himself, I experience angels with almost no form, precisely because of exactly what he just said. Like I use the word body because I don't know what else to call it. Self, story is another word for it. It doesn't really matter what word, it's angelicness. Okay? But I experience angels, I experience almost no, in fact, I don't experience them with form. I experience them as presence or essence. Occasionally, I'll see, two big blue eyes, and that'll be Mikael. Do I ever see like fat babies or, robes? I don't. I mean, maybe I'm just unaware and we cannot rule that out. But I don't see them with, a rod and a staff and that kind of thing. I experience them as presence, as essence. So I've heard people say to me, well, I don't know, I don't see angels. And then they'll have it, and we'll talk about it more. And to me, it's like, well, you're knowing angels because you don't see them like people depict them, Give yourself, take a leap of faith. See, you sense them with spiritual sensing, which is far more, you don't see them like I'm seeing Michael or I'm touching Michael or I'm, tasting, or drinking water. That's very tangible. We're in this world, right? But you know them with your spiritual sensing. You see them spiritually. Now, I understand some of this might not be all that comprehensible. Again, experience it. Now, with that said, you're going to see soon a meditation, and you probably already saw the meditation we sent out with a lot of forms and pictures and wings and pretty images. Now, I only did that because I didn't know how to say, here's the essence of Mikael. I can share that experience, and I can do what I did in the beginning, which is bring forward a message and hope you connect into that. The only reason that we used all those images is to give you some idea of the differences between the great archangels so that you can pick one to work with you for this entire series. Okay, and also to give you an idea of the characteristics of the different archangels. Now, with that said, I don't experience characteristics. Well, that's not true. I do now. If I want to know who's present, I go into that unknowing and I allow it to come to me. I don't go towards it. I don't ask a lot of questions. I just sit and I wait. Like I'm looking at our friend here, and he's got the archangel, the great archangel of the Divine Mother with him. Now, did I see like a mother? No. It's just a knowing. Okay, so I then, after I learned of these presences, the archangels, I then learned more about their characteristics after I had the experience of them. And so I present them in this meditation to help you connect into, okay, this is Mikael, this is Gabriel, this is Raphael. But if you can just know it, by all means, again, just know it. Okay? Now, sometimes I can just know it. If I can't, it does help to go, I sense a little snippet of salmon. And then I go, okay, RAL. Okay? So again, no rules. No, as little form as you can put on it, do. But sometimes we need form because we're in form. So what's the value of knowing who's present, of being more aware specifically? The more aware you are of them, the more they can support you in what you're doing. And the more you're aware of them, the more you can support them in what they're doing, and the more they can utilize you for what they're doing, which is the work of God. They can help you with healing. They bring forward profound healing on all levels. Assist with your ministry, help you deal with negativity. JR came in at a grace training and said the Archangel Gabriel just gave me the 8-foot cube of light. You envision an 8-foot cube of light around you, like if you're going into a situation with where there might be upset or a crowd of people, or if you have work where you're doing healing work or anything, 8-foot cube of light. So he came in instead of the Archangel Gabriel, just gave me this for you. So here's another JR quote on that. An angel may sometimes come in to hold energy for you as an individual. Angels can serve you greatly in this way. If you sense their presence around you, just bless them and extend your light to them and love them. when they hold energy for you, they may be assisting you in handling negativity. John Roger, loving each day.